Welcome, 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 West Point family, to the latest. Jason likes to call it WPT in 30, but it's a little bit of false advertising. We usually go over, but I think this time we're gonna keep it pretty short. Joe Bianca here, joined by Tommy Murphy. Our esteemed host Jason is on his way up to Saratoga right now, making some stops along the way, getting some delicious content on all our horses up and down the East Coast. So he'll join us next week, maybe live from Saratoga, as we're heading up to the Belmont at Saratoga week at upstate. Tommy, what are your thoughts on that upcoming huge week in racing?
I'm really looking forward to it. I've had it circled on my calendar for a while. Obviously, I will not be up there, so I'm very jealous of everyone that's going to be able to make the trip up there. I dearly miss Saratoga, but I just can't wait to see it all through screen, see it all through my TV. I know the racing is going to be fantastic, and I've just heard over and over how Saratoga is buzzing. I know the track's had a few different touch-ups done that I'm sure people are going to love, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the party starts on Wednesday. I think there's a free concert downtown on Broadway. So we're all looking forward to that. Let's get to the racing. So it's a little bit of a lull right now. We've got some action, but I think this is kind of that gap time between the Derby and Saratoga where there's not a ton going on, but we had a couple of wins last week. We had Stars and Six Strings last week at Indiana. I still want to call it Indiana Grand. It's had so many names. At Horseshoe, Indianapolis, Grayson of Good Magic, which reminds me, we have a little bit of that Good Magic cult from last week at the Facing Tipton Timonium sale available. So this is probably going to be it, Tom, I think, for our 2-year-olds for the year. And maybe one-off horse in June. But I think this will be it for the 2-year-old class for 2024. Have you taken a look at the Good Magic cult? What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic looking colt. And as you said, this is probably it for 2-year-olds. So, if you're on the fence about wanting to get in on 2-year-old, obviously you're going to get action a little bit sooner with the 2-year-old than you are compared to yearlings. But I mean, the Good Magic's fantastically built horse. I saw him, I didn't get to see him in person, but just seeing him, how he looks, I just fell in love. He looks like a Good Magic. He looks like the Good Magics. And I know Jeff Lifson talked about it on our call with Dale earlier this week about all the great horses Good Magic has thrown that have gotten on the Derby trail and, even won the Derby with Mage last year. So, this could be one of those type of horses. He's a Florida bred, so, he always has the opportunity to run down south in the winter with Dale for some lucrative purses in some of those Florida bred races and Florida styled races, some of those. But really exciting horse. I can't wait to get him to Churchill with Dale and see him hands on. I'm really excited about him.
Absolutely. And Good Magic stud fee is 125 grand now. So you're not going to find too many more, I think, at this price point. So I think he's an impressive horse, but also great value. We also have a little bit remaining on the Salamini filly, the New York bred. She'll be up here in my neck of the woods soon. Can't wait to see her. Quick, long stride. So she's pretty impressive as well. So let's get to the big event of last week. And I'll mostly toss it to you, Tommy, because you were there as I try to share my screen for real this time. Confirm you're seeing this, Tom. You got
Yep.
me?
Gotcha.
Cool.
I gotcha.
All right. So this was Atomic Blonde, and this was a really satisfying win just because she had been knocking on the door for a long time, since she came to us in the States. And, she had run a bunch of really good races and just hadn't been able to get there. She ran in the Keertana Stakes, as you can see on Saturday, 6-horse field at Churchill Downs. And she did her usual thing. She drops back out to last. And, turning in, I'll fast forward a little bit here, but turning into the stretch, I thought it was going to be another one of those races where she just put in her run, but she couldn't quite get there. But Tommy, you were there. You tell me what you're thinking right about now.
Yeah, so my first thought right here is they go around that horse that Rayleigh was riding that kind of backed up on him. I was a little nervous saying, "Oh, I hope everyone gets around this horse." But I mean, Tyler kept this horse covered up the entire way around, which he wanted to do. And right about here, right here, when I see him angle out, I can tell he's got enough force. He can get there. And these are the top 3 finishers that came out of the race at Keeneland. So I knew it was going to come down to one of us. And for a little bit, I was worried we were going to hang and not want to go by Chop Chop. But right
Mhm.
here, I knew, all right, we got him dead to rights. And it was just a masterful ride by Tyler. Finally got her well-deserved, long overdue stakes win. And it was just a really, really satisfying win for her to get it done there in that fashion with that kind of odd race with that horse. I mean, you can see those opening fractions. That horse is just now finishing, but just ran off. It was very, mind-blowing. If you go back and look at
Yeah.
the chart, Atomic Blonde, I think, was almost 25, 26 lengths back at second call, right about here. I mean, which is insane. I don't think I've ever seen a horse come from that far back in any level of race. at any distance and still find a way to win. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, you can see the cameraman is
Right.
the horse is off the screen. It's that
Yeah.
far in front. It was mind blowing. And the whole way around, Tyler kept her right pinned to that rail, kept her covered up. That's where she's most comfortable. That's where she can do her best running. And she obviously did. She got the win, and it was awesome to finally see her break through like that and in a very dominating fashion. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with her this year.
Yeah, no, she's been tremendous for us, even and she's banked some money along the way. I mean, she hadn't had that win yet, but she had showed up pretty much every time. Toward the end of the year, her form started to tail out off a little bit, and I was there, unfortunately, when she bled in her last race of the year. It was a pretty scary situation, but thankfully she was okay in the long run. And look at her galloping out way in front. So yeah, I said this on Chatter, but this was among my favorite wins since I joined West Point, just because it was so good to see her finally get over the hump. She's such a hard trying filly. And happy for the Clements too, because it wasn't too long ago that they shipped Winning Spirit down for the Elkhorn, and he got scratched, and we thought unjustly, by the Kentucky stewards. So for them to go back down to Churchill and get the pot with this nice filly, I thought that was tremendous and a great stakes win for the team, and hopefully just the first of many this spring and summer. I mean, we've already had Vava, but I'm looking more towards the summer now that we're past Memorial Day. So that was terrific. We'll turn our attention this week to the horses that we've got coming up. We got some stakes action. We'll start though with some stuff we got going on Friday. Tom, I assume you're going to be there. We're in the 6th race and the 9th race down in Louisville. We've got Depiction in this allowance. Depiction is a horse that has shown up and run some good races. You see, he's only beaten 2 1/4 in the Bourbon, 2 3/4 in the Dania Beach, 2.5 in the Transylvania. But Tommy, I thought this was just a great spot for him because he's a nice horse, but he's the kind of horse I think needs a little bit of class relief.
Yes, big time. And this is the perfect spot to kind of get that class relief. Obviously, these first level allowance races at Churchill aren't there's no free squares at these kind of races. It's going to be tough still, but it's going to be a lot easier than the horses he ran against in the last few races. You can see the level of horses he ran against. Can Group won that grade 2 ran well. Obviously, Cugino, who's going to be running on Saturday, coming out of the Transylvania Need, like an OC ran real well on Derby Day as well. So he's finally getting a little bit of class relief. And we get Irad on him too, which I always point to, especially with how red hot Cherie's been. When Irad jumps on, I feel real good about that, especially after his ride on Vava on Derby Day. But this just looks like a perfect race to get him back to the winner's circle, get him back on track, and kind of slingshot him into a huge summer, and just get him feeling good and get him mentally in the right place, and just let him have some fun. Hopefully, go beat up some of these horses and just get back to his winning ways.
Yeah. Going a flat mile. He's the kind of horse that obviously has a big late kick. He needs a little bit of pace help. You see, you got the speed right to his outside. So hopefully that will ensure a pretty quick pace. Although, you go back to his maiden win and he wasn't that far off of it. So maybe I would like to see Irad have him a little bit more in the game and not drop so far back, especially with the slight turn back to a mile. So I definitely like our chances on Friday with Depiction. We'll move on to the nightcap on Friday, 4:55 post time. And this is where we'll see Mo Rhodes fresh off of his maiden win. That was one of the most improbable wins that we've had in a long time. I think last time for 50K at Keeneland, he looked like he had no hope pretty much as late as the top of the stretch, and just came flying late between horses, had to be a little bit brave and got up. So that was nice to see, because he had run against some tough horses. Like that BU race 2 back was probably the best maiden race that we saw all winter at Gulfstream. It's a starter allowance for some lightly raced horses, so it's not going to be easy. You see the horse at the rail, the Safi Joseph horse, who's got a big figure, the 9 horse for Grant Forster. I do think that we have a little bit of an advantage having this be 2 turns. I think those horses might be a little bit better going shorter, but I don't know. How did you see this race shaking out, Tom?
Yeah, I actually really I enjoyed the horse right outside of Mo Rhodes at 9. I just thought he won for 40, and then he ran what I thought real well in starter 50s. The same level of race on right after Derby. So that horse kind of caught my attention a little bit, and Jose gets on for Grant Forster. So that kind of also drew my eye to it. I don't see that a whole lot. But Mo Rhodes, like you said, the more distance I think is going to be helpful for him as he continues on with his career. And so I think keeping it at the mile 16th here is really going to help him. Obviously, first time against winners, it's tougher sledding than it was, maiden 50. But
Right.
regardless, this is a fantastic spot, I think, for him. Obviously, he's 15 to 1, a little long on the odds there, but with how he ran last time, I expect a big kick from him. And
Yeah.
he's such a big horse. It kind of takes a little bit to get going. And if anyone's seen him in person, you'll know what I'm talking about. This horse is just massive. He's probably the biggest horse we have in the stable. I know I could probably confidently say he's the biggest horse that Dale has in his barn because he just towers over everybody.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm really excited, and I like getting Martin Schwann up. He's been doing great things for Dale. So I'm excited to get him going against winners and expect a big leg kick from him.
Yeah, no, it might be a little bit too tough of a field to win first time against winners, but you're hoping for a little pace and you're hoping for him to show up with that stretch kick, as you're saying, and hopefully, at least get in the number there. So we'll move on to the stakes action on Saturday. This is going to be a pretty exciting day for us, I think, at Churchill as we kick off June. We've got two I don't want to say barn favorites because we love all our horses, but we really do love these two in particular. You've got in the Grade 3 Arlington Stakes, we've got Northern Invader's return to Stakes Company. He was a horse that had immense promise last year. I was there when he had that huge 8-length maiden win at Belmont, and we thought, wow, this horse is just going to sweep the summer and fall stakes. Had a little bit of a hiccup in the secretary. I think it was a little too hot for them that day. Obviously won the Gio Ponte when we ran 1-2 with Ohana Honor. I mean, how about the horse he's turned into, pointing towards the Manhattan next weekend? So that's super exciting. So I'm excited to see him get back to Grade Stakes Company. And Tommy, I'll toss it to you on this, but like I feel like we match up pretty much with every single miler in the country. It's just Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. Like they're always the fly in the ointment with these turf horses. Like and this is a grade 3. This is a
Yeah.
grade 3, and they still show up with this horse who's Group 1 caliber in Ottoman Fleet. It's a little bit frustrating to open the PPs, feel really good about the horse you have, and then there is the evil genius Charlie Appleby potentially to spoil the party.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain he has a handful of horses here stateside,
Mhm.
just kind of for this reason to go running these graded stakes races all over the country and just pick up checks. Obviously, this is a really nice horse, done real well. I mean, you can look at the horses he run against; it's ridiculously impressive. But still, like I said, I think we stack up exceptionally well. Emmanuel is the horse that is going to be really tough. He's a really classy horse. I don't think he's quite really a grade 1 horse, so this kind of fits him here in this
Mhm.
spot. So I'm a little weary of him. And then even the Shugs horse on the outside of him, Smoking Tea, is another nice horse. But you can look at the figures, and we stack up right there with them all. So that makes me feel really good. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Cherie DeVoe is just on fire right now. And with how good Northern Invader ran last out, I expect him to run just about as good, maybe if not better, and step up to this level of competition.
Yeah, well, and I like the fact that Jose Ortiz sticks with them. I just feel like he matches up pretty well with Northern Invader because he does have that early speed. Doesn't need the lead, but he likes to be forwardly placed. I thought he was too far back in that in the race, too back at Fairgrounds. So I think Jose fits him like a glove. I think he'll have him in a good spot. There's not a ton of speed in here. I don't think that there's necessarily a reason to go to the front, especially with the Foley horse to the inside who's got some speed. But I think we should be laying close. I think the main thing is to try to beat Ottoman Fleet to the punch because I think that's where we have the advantage over him. I think speed figure wise, he kind of lays over the field and should be a really short price, but he's got more of a late kick rather than that stalk and pounce aptitude. So I think to me the biggest thing is to get the jump on him and then hope we don't get run down. We'll move on to later in the card in the finale. Actually, we're in the Audubon Stakes with Cugino. Cugino reminds me a little bit of Atomic Blonde. He's just one of these horses that's been knocking on the door, knocking on the door. You can see the 3 straight seconds by a neck in the Colonel Liam, which I'm still pissed off that he didn't win that day because that pace was just ridiculous. Transylvania, he makes that early move and then just gets tagged late. Didn't feel like he loved the turf in the American turf, but still showed up and ran his race and was 4th. Gets a big rider switch here, Tommy. I think that yeah, nothing against Javier, who's obviously ridden a bunch of really nice horses for us. But I don't know, man. I kind of like the idea of getting a little bit of a new face here on his back with Flavian Pratt.
Yeah, and Flavian rides a lot for Shug, and he's one of the premier turf riders in the country. You'll see him fly all the way out to California, here come to Kentucky, go to New York, and even go down to South Florida sometimes in the winter to ride these big races. So anytime you can get Flavian up on your horse on the grass, that's always a huge plus. But I'm really looking forward to him getting back here. The winner Drakari's not in this race, which was nice. Maybe I don't want to say the horse maybe fluked, but a horse ran real well. One is going to the Pennsylvania Mile. on Friday. So we have the second and third place horses. We were right behind. You can see his running line. He didn't break as well, and there were a lot of horses in that race on Derby Day, but he thought he still ran hard. I mean, that's just kind of what this horse does. I mean, he reminds me a lot of his brother too, Battle of Normandy. This mare, Adorable Mist, just kind of throws the same hard-nosed type horses. They're always going to run as hard as they can, and they're going to show up. That's just what this horse does. So I expect him to show up big time. I believe he's the favorite at 7-2. So I hope maybe the public's probably going to agree with me, but I expect with Flavian, hopefully find a way a little bit off the rail. I don't want to
Mhm.
get pinned with him, and just get him in a comfortable spot and then just beat everyone with a punch and just make your move, kick away, and get him this elusive stakes win that's just been so close for him. I keep thinking back to that Transylvania. I still believe that he won the race live, and then I saw the photo and I was heartbroken. So I'm still beat up about that. But I think this will be redemption for him. We can get the Audubon Stakes, and then we can move on and send him up to New York and win some big ones up there.
Yeah, I'm still hoping to see him up in my neck of the woods in the Belmont Derby, July 4th weekend. We'll see. We'll see how he does this Saturday and then how he comes out of the race. I know he bounced out of the American turf really well. He's had a couple of really nice works over the Belmont training track. And I think he matches up well here. Cameo performance might have some upside here for Brendan Walsh. He got bet like crazy in that race at Keeneland in mid-April and ran to the money. He showed speed and kicked away late. You do have the 2-3 finishers who finished ahead of Cugino last time in the American turf, and Formidable Man and Laganos. But I don't know. That seemed like a little bit of a fluky turf course. I'll still take us over them, head to head on a fair track with a fair pace. So yeah, I mean, you want to get away from the rail a little bit. I think you're right, Tom, with that instinct, just because, in this kind of race, you could get shuffled, and I don't want him to be too far back. I think he does his best running when he's just a little bit off of the pace. So yeah, he's one of these horses that is very, very deserving of a stakes win. 275K is a great pot too for a non-graded stake. So it'd be awesome for us and for the partners if he's able to get the job done. So shout out to all the Cugino partners and all the Northern Invader partners and everybody who's got something running this weekend. And it's exciting time of year as Saratoga is just around the corner. Not to slight anybody, but we also have Nuclear running on Saturday. We've got Gold Aspen running later today. So good luck to all the partners on those two horses. But yeah, Tom, it's exciting to kind of turn the page from the Derby. We obviously still have the Belmont coming up, but there's just so much to look forward to this summer with the stable. And yeah, it's looks like it's going to be a great time. Hope to see you up at Saratoga. You're going to be out there on Saturday, I assume, at Churchill.
Oh, of course. Anytime we got anything going, I usually find my way out there. I love heading out there to Churchill, and I love seeing our partners and talking racing, talking horses with them as well. And fingers crossed, I'm trying to find my way up to Saratoga at some point this summer. I tell people it's been almost 15 years since I've been up there, so it's been a
Wow.
long time. So
Wow.
it's overdue. It's long overdue. So I'll find my way.
Yeah, we'll get you there one way or another. So yeah, best of luck to all the horses this weekend. Great to see you, Tom. It was great to see you in the winner's circle on Saturday
Yeah,
for
well, thank
Atomic
you.
Blonde. Yeah, no, it was awesome. Looking sharp in the winner's circle as we're Terry and Debbie and the whole family. So best of luck to all the West Point partners this weekend. Got a lot of stakes action, a lot of nice horses running as we start to look forward to Saratoga next week. Like I said, Jason will be back. We'll do a little Belmont at Saratoga preview with the three of us again. Maybe a little bit of a guest appearance from Terry Finley. We'll see. No promises. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you back here real soon. I did it. We're at WPT in like 25. I think we got it here.
You're right there.
Tommy,
We're still in the WPT in 30.
yeah. That's always a good time, and we'll see you all real soon. All right. Good stuff, Tom.
See you, Joe.
See you later.